everyone. It is Tony Will. I am back with another fantastic episode of Women In, and let me tell you, this one is really special. It is my first repeat guest since I launched Women In nearly a year ago. But before I tell you who my guest is, because you'll recognize him if you're watching this, let me tell you what you're listening to. Women In is a podcast that celebrates women and the individuals in their lives who are lifting them up. You're going to hear from all kinds of super cool people in my life, and they're going to share their stories to inspire others to support all the extraordinary women around them. This is a space to be disruptive, forward-thinking, and change agents for humankind. It is uncensored, fun, and curiosity-driven. This is what I'm passionate about, breaking down barriers for my kids' generation. It's equal parts about my guests and the places we came into each other's lives. Whether it be the Kalamazoo Wings, Mindfulness Elevated, Tony Will Coaching, or you happen to be in my family and friends circle, it doesn't get any closer than this to me, everyone. My husband, Josh Will, is back as my first repeat guest. Josh, if people want to know your intro, they can go back and listen to our first episode together, which aired on June 19th of last year. So unless you want to add anything other than being my fantastic husband, I'm going to leave it at that.
Well, is that what... I assume I'm not going to be the only return guest. Are you going to do that for all the other return guests? Or am I being excluded because I'm simply your husband?
I haven't played that out yet. I'm building the plane while flying it.
Oh, I know the answer already. Everyone else will get an actual bio read. Me, yeah, hey, go back to episode whatever. It's a good one.
Josh was born in Delphus, Ohio.
That's not my bio. Just move on.
You don't want me to talk about it? Okay. So this episode is going to be dedicated to how we ended up coming up on our 5th wedding anniversary, which is about a little over a month away. And we are a success story from Tinder. So it can happen. You can go from Tinder to celebrating a 5th wedding anniversary. And we, in like middle age, we did this. So we haven't talked about this in a long time, but I thought we could do a fun little episode, lighten things up on Women In, and talk about the how Tony and Josh became the Wills.
Intriguing.
So, Josh, what year did you become single after your divorce?
Carry this. 2006.
Okay.
2006.
A long time ago.
Yeah, carry the one. Yeah, 2006.
Okay. So you were single. You only had one girlfriend between 2006 and when we started dating in 2019.
Yeah, I dated a decent amount, but I only had one long-term. I only had one girlfriend that exceeded like 4 months or 3 months.
I was going to say, what's your definition of long term?
Well, I think it's fluid. So, or it was then.
Yeah. So talk about that. Like, why did you choose to stay single? Like, what was dating like? You were living in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Our daughter, which my stepdaughter, but I refer to her as my own as well. It was a different time back then. So what were you doing back then? What was your dating?
It was a different time back then, many moons ago. I don't know. I think it was a combination of that. One, I just wasn't ready for a serious relationship. I probably wasn't emotionally mature enough to be able to give a partner what they deserved. So that's probably that. I mean, that's part of it. But I recognize that also. I did recognize it. Maybe I didn't say it that way to myself, but I recognized it. And then, I don't know. It just wasn't at the top of my list. Grace was. So, and me doing me instead of having to, commit myself to someone or whatever. I don't know. We could go down a deep rabbit hole, but that's not what this podcast is meant to be. But the overarching theme would be, I just wasn't emotionally ready for that.
Yeah.
So
you and I met for the first time. We're not sure the year, are we?
I think
Two,
it was 2014. I think it was the beginning of 20. I think it was Q1 2014,
okay.
probably.
So let's talk about the day you and I first met. You were working where?
I was working at a bank in downtown Kalamazoo.
Okay. And I was working at Southwest Michigan First at the Chamber. And how I recall this is you connect. Was it Jeff Kalmbach that said, "Hey, you should reach out to Tony at the Chamber"? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
so I was. He was a colleague of mine, and now he's a good friend of mine. But I was looking for some ideas and concepts and connectivity to try and create relationships with the downtown business owners, because the bank that I worked at down there was a little different in that it's not really, people aren't driving downtown after work to do their banking. One, they're trying to get the hell out of there, and it's all banks, or it's all commercial businesses, retail businesses. So you had to kind of take a different approach from what you would call a traditional banking center that's kind of either set within a, you very close by geographically to homes and residences, and this was not. So I wanted to connect with someone who was in the know in that regard. Jeff referred me to you because at the time you were running the Chamber of Commerce. So who better than to segue into some connectivity within the business community in downtown than you?
Yeah. And you emailed me and we set up a meeting and you came to my office at Southwest Michigan First.
Yeah.
And do you remember meeting me that day?
Yeah, I remember meeting you.
What do you remember?
Sat down and we talked. I don't remember the content of it. I mean, that's like 11 years ago. I don't remember the things you said. Um, but I remember meeting. I remember you think you were wearing a white blouse.
Mhm.
Your hair was similar to how it is now. And, you know, I
Wait, are
was,
you saying I haven't aged a bit?
yes, you were just as gorgeous then as you are now.
Well, I remember thinking, like, I remember meeting you and I'm like, wow, this guy. So I was Tony Daniels at the time. And let's set the record straight right now. This was the one and only time we met in person. And for some weird reason, we never ran into each other in Kalamazoo or Portage until our first date, which was many years later,
Yeah.
many years later. So I remember thinking, wow, you were so outgoing. And I remember you being tan. And I remember you being like in really good shape, like you are now.
A different kind of
And
really good shape.
I was like, and I remember you talking about Grace and how old she was. And I'm like, oh, because Landon and Grace are only, I think, about 15 months apart or so. They're not 18 months. They're close in age. And I remember thinking, wow, he looks really young to have a kiddo, because our kids were much younger back then, older than mine. We didn't talk personally about really anything. We talked about business, but
Yeah.
I noticed you weren't wearing a wedding ring. And I'm like, I made the immediate snap judgment that this guy is out like painting the town red in Kalamazoo with all the ladies. But then we connected on LinkedIn and Facebook. We became friends, and then that was it.
Yeah. And then about every year, we've talked about this before, I thought, on your other my prior podcast, but about every year I don't know, maybe we didn't. We just
We
talked
didn't.
about, I would reach out to you.
Yeah.
Instead of just asking, I'd be like, hey, so I would ask about K-Wings tickets, thinking you would offer them up to me. And you're like, yeah, just go to the box office. You can buy them there.
It's so true. I didn't even know you wanted free tickets. I was just like, why does he ask me? Like, Josh, you can go to the box office. I didn't know, but you would every year. You check in with me. But I didn't think anything of it. And then, okay, so fast forward many, many years to 2019,
19.
the beginning of 2019, Q1. We're back in Q1. I am now single. I tell no one.
Great philosophy.
I had a lot of shame. Like I was like, God, I'm 40 years old. I'm divorced again. It's my second divorce. And I was really ashamed of it. And so I was like, but I wanted to date. I never had dated on dating apps because my previous two marriages, I just met like one in college and one at the gym. Right.
Right.
So now you, though, were very experienced with dating on dating apps. So what was that like? I mean, you haven't been on dating apps in a long time, but what did that look like in all those years you were single? Were you on multiple dating apps? Which ones were you on? What was your strategy?
I wouldn't say I had a strategy. I was never on multiple ones at the same time. I think you just get on, you try different ones out to see, because there's different caliber of um, potential partners on the varying sites, right? We met on Tinder. There's other sites. I mean, this isn't a plug for all of them, but if anybody's ever been on a dating site, there's kind of different ones. Some are more focused on, hey, you can swipe and like a girl as much as you want, but she has to be the one that initiates here, because it's and on this particular site, it's more, these are professionals. And on this site, it's, hey, these are people who like want to get married. Um, on this site, it's people who maybe just want to have fun. It's all these different things. So I didn't really have a strategy, and I mean, I would use them off and on in years. I mean, you say I had all this experience, but yes, anyone has a lot of experience compared to you, because you used it for like 5 minutes and then you found this guy.
We're going to get to that in a minute.
So, but yeah, like use it, over a whatever year span, you use it, maybe a month or two here, wait a year, another month. Like I used them some, but
Yeah. And what did you find? Like, and, were the pictures often, as filtered as they are today? Were people using 10-year-old pictures? I mean,
mm,
you were really good. You and I've talked about this, like when we were like, you were good at sussing out red
yeah,
flags.
as far as I don't think the pictures back then were filtered to the extent they are these days. I was like scrolling on Facebook yesterday, and I mean, everybody and their freaking mother is filtering their photos. It was like a friend of a friend who said, so, the someone you might know. And I saw the picture and I was like, I think I know that person, but um, yeah, I know that person. And then I clicked on their profile. I'm like, that that person's like 60 years old. Their filter makes them look like they're freaking 26. And people joke around about the whole. I've seen the meme before where they're like, "You got to stop using filters, because if you go missing, no one's gonna know what you really freaking look like."
That's funny.
Well, that's what came to my mind. I'm like, dear gosh, because then I step back and I say, okay, if you're in your 60s and you're using filters like that on every photo, yeah, you're probably not gonna find the person you want anyways, because you're hiding something already. You don't even want them to see what you look like. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, filters weren't as bad. I think people were, depending on, most people were honest with their photos. You could always tell the ones back then. You could tell the ones that are fake right away. You're like, yeah, because it'd be like a combination of the photos along with the misspelled intro.
Mhm.
So
Those are good pro tips even now, though. Like if someone's listening to this thinking, I want to know how I get married off Tinder, misspellings and filtered pictures, red flags.
yes, I'm a now self-proclaimed guru, marriage
Okay.
guru.
So I decide back in February of 2019, I'm going to get on Tinder. And I don't know anything about dating apps, but this is what I did know. I was like, I'm not interested in getting married. So I go on Tinder thinking this is the site you go to meet someone to have fun, like nothing serious.
Sure.
So I build my profile, I put my pictures up, and I'm really nervous about hitting publish because I my job is somewhat forward facing in this community, depending on if people are hockey fans or not. And I hadn't told anyone I was divorced.
Yeah.
So So, but I upgraded, and I always say this, I upgraded my Tinder immediately because I wanted to know who swiped right on me. So I wasn't wasting time because I was very concerned about being murdered. So I was only going to go on dates with people that I knew. Or not, maybe I didn't know in person, but like I don't know. Like I wanted to be really careful.
Time out. I'm going to interrupt you real quick. Sorry, but I need to say this thought. The concern about being murdered, hindsight, 6 years later, I can tell you the exact reason why you thought you're going to be murdered is because you watched so much Dateline. Anyways, carry on.
I didn't watch as much back then. Anyways, but you're right. So I upgraded it. And I remember like, I'm like, this swiping thing, this could suck up a ton of time. I'm like, oh my God, but it was fun, whatever. And then I get back, it was a Friday. I get off, I publish it. I'm nervous. I go home. I open it back up when I get home. And I'm like, you popped up. And I'm like, Josh Will? He's still single. Huh. I would have thought you were married. And I was like, interesting. And I'm like, this is perfect. Like, he already swiped right at me because, listen, pro tip number 3 from us, pay to have it upgraded. Now, I don't think you did, Josh, but I did. Did you ever upgrade yours?
I had, I think, one other time, like a couple years before that.
Yeah.
I used it. But again, like you use it for like 3 weeks. You're like, yeah, this is stupid. Like it's not worth it. It wasn't for me at that time.
Yeah. So you swiped right. And so I was like, cool. And then I did and I was like, interesting. I'm like, this is perfect. He clearly has commitment issues. And that's what I was like, okay. And I knew I'd met you years before. You were a really nice guy. You're funny. Because the number one thing I was looking for was someone with a sense of humor and a job and, nice teeth, not nasty feet. Like there were certain things that were really.
How would you know about my feet? You didn't know anything about my feet then.
I was keeping my fingers crossed, but it didn't matter because it wasn't about that. But there were just certain things, right?
Right.
So I was like, wow, okay, so we connect. And then you can message me on the app because you didn't have my phone number. And your first question to me was what? Do you remember it?
Is this you? I was like, is this
real?
Are you sure? Is this Tony? Because that's because you didn't tell anyone or put anything on your social media about being divorced. So since we're friends on social media, I immediately went to your social media. I'm like, oh, well, it doesn't say that she's divorced here. And I'm like, okay. So I was like, I think so I messaged you on social media. I'm like, hey, is that you on Tinder? Because I think if not, someone stole your profile and is pretending to be you. But because you didn't tell anybody this.
Do you remember what I did on social media though? Before I said, well, Josh, I changed my name. I changed it from Tony Daniels to Tony Lentini. And that's how I thought people would know I was divorced.
Yeah. Everyone's just supposed to know, just figure it out on your own.
So I said, yes, that is me. I went through a divorce.
Yes, you did say that. Good. Thank you for answering the question we already knew the answer to. But yes, she said, so then we continued to talk. Fast forward, we went out for drinks that night.
We did. And now this is what's hilarious because I often laugh about this day. Do you remember what time we met for dinner?
I think it was like 9 o'clock on a Friday.
9 o'clock.
Yeah, that would have never flown this day and age because you're in bed by 9. I'm sorry. You're in bed reading by 9, not necessarily sleeping.
We started, and our date lasted for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And
I'm charismatic. I light up the room. I make the ladies feel comfortable. And I did so with you, even though you were wearing a Matrix-like jacket. She was like you were the female version of Keanu Reeves.
I don't know what that fashion choice was, but
terrible one. But yeah, you were committed.
I was committed to it, and it did. I mean, you were interested.
Yeah, I mean, not in the jacket, but yes, in you.
Okay, so all right, so we had the first date February 8th. 2019.
Yeah.
at midnight, I'm like, Josh, I gotta go, because I flew out the next morning to go to Vegas for work, for sports something or another. I think the National Sports Forum. You walked me to my car.
Yes. I asked you questions about your car.
You did.
I looked in the back seat to see if it was messy.
And it was not.
It was not. And then I kissed you.
We did kiss.
In the snow.
Yep. It was. The snow was falling. It was, dare I say, romantic.
Dare I say, you may say it was romantic.
So did you think, like, after that first date, like, I'm going to marry this girl?
No.
I didn't either. Did you think that we would end up in a serious relationship?
No. After that first date, no. I didn't think any of that stuff. What I did think was this was fun and this was enjoyable and this was different from, from anything I had kind of experienced in the past. So I would like to go out on a second date. And, for the record, the reason it was different is because probably, I don't know, a month or two before you and I met, I had been single for a while, and sometimes I was just self-destructive. And in that, I mean, like, I would, if I was dating a girl or going out, hanging out with her, I would find reasons to not want to instead of being vulnerable, I guess. But I had made the decision a couple months or before that, like, if I want a serious relationship, I want to find somebody, but to do that, I need to be uncomfortable and do things differently. Otherwise, we all know the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and getting the same result. So I was like, I need to be more open to things. I need to not be so in my head and potentially find reasons. So I was already starting to work on things that I wanted myself. You just happened to come into my life at the right time.
Yeah, and I fully thought that I'm going to end up being just, and not that you treated me this way, but I was making up a narrative in my head that I was one of many, and two, I did not want to get in a serious relationship.
Sure.
And I remember after that date going, oh my gosh, like, did I think we were going to get married, have a serious relationship? No, but I really had a lot of fun. And I was like, wow, he is really smart and really funny. And I knew you were funny, but you wrote in your Tinder profile that you were a goofball. And you are a goofball, and I was just like, we had the best conversation. I mean, 3 hours. It went by really fast. So I go to Vegas. We text a lot, back and forth. We come home and have a second date, maybe a week and a half later.
Was that breakfast?
Food dance.
Yeah. R.I.P. food dance.
R.I.P.
Yeah, I think on that second day, it wasn't then, but at some point along the lines, you did say, boy, you're way smarter than what'd you say, than I looked?
Yes. It was a compliment.
Oh, it was. You said it so beautifully.
Well, you were like muscly, and you were, to me, you are good looking. And I'm like, this guy probably, yeah, that is a nice bicep.
Real muscly for all the ladies watching, but too bad I'm taken.
And I just was like, I don't know. I don't know. So, but I was like, this could go somewhere. But then I also like to self-sabotage.
Oh, yeah.
Because who came to town a lot in that first few months we were dating?
Who came to town?
Tony Party Time.
Oh, yeah. Tony Party Time. She never left town. She was always in town. Just sometimes she was under the cover of darkness. She'd hide, I guess. But yeah, Tony Party Time.
Yeah, you and I, you knew her. And a lot of people, I mean, I get asked about that. Like, people are like, oh, Josh knew you when you were drinking. I'm like, oh, did he? But you still saw through all that.
Yep. Here I am.
So, okay. We're coming up on our 5th wedding anniversary.
We are.
We blended a family.
We did.
We we bought and sold a few homes together.
We have.
I mean, we've done some shit.
Indeed. You like all my short answers? I thought that was kind of funny.
No, I mean, it keeps us moving.
Well, yeah, we've done a lot together. I mean, we're coming up on our 5th wedding anniversary, and we are in our second house that we purchased together. And this is the 4th house that I've lived in the last 6 years. Right?
Yeah, I think so. Because you sold your house to move into my house. Then we sold my house to buy our house.
Yeah.
Then we sold our house to buy a dream house on a lake.
Yeah. And here we are.
Yeah.
Dream. Sorry.
We graduated all three, including Chloe. She graduates in less than 2 weeks from high school, but all 3 kids, we got to high school graduation.
Yep.
I've launched some businesses.
We're doing it, baby. We're doing it.
And not just fun stuff. We've gone through some really hard stuff too. We went through COVID together.
Mm-hmm.
And we went through my mom's illness and death together.
Yeah.
So what the moral of this story is that you can get on Tinder and really come out ahead. It's not all about.
That's the moral of the story. Yeah, it's Tinder focused. I think the moral of the story is life can be a beautiful bitch no matter where, when, or how. And if you have the right partner, you can get through it and become stronger and still have fun, even coming into your 5th wedding anniversary. I mean, I just totally made that up, but I didn't make it up, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it's not about, at the end of the day, none of it's about Tinder. That was just what connected us. So.
Well, I think though Tinder gets a bad rap. Like, I think you can meet someone on Tinder. I do. I mean, we're proof. I literally was on there 5 minutes.
Dating apps. I think you just say in general, you can meet people on dating apps. But if you're the person, here's my personal opinion. If you're the person that's on 3 different dating apps at the same time, you're not going to find anyone that way.
Yeah.
Because that to me just is, if you're on 3 different apps, it kind of reeks of desperation, which not that the other people necessarily know it, but for you, I think that's my opinion. So dating apps, you can do it, but I would stick to one at a time. Okay. And if you want to use one, really commit yourself to it. But also have a willingness to look outside the app and say, if I've been on this app multiple times over the last several years and haven't found anybody, is it really just because it's slim pickings, or is it because there are things I need to change about myself first? Because that's where I was. I mean, I will also tell you, there are times when I'm like, it is slim pickings out there. Because the older you start to get and you're on those apps and you're just like, damn. But you do have to have a willingness to make changes. That's if you're if you're a habitual dating app user. So
yeah, but you when I came along, you weren't like, oh my God, slim pickings, I'll settle for this one.
No, not at all.
I know.
You were the right person.
I know. But when you said that, I just wanted to point that out.
Well, slim pickings means that it's slim pickings. And for you to be picked, my lover, my lady, you were the outlier. You were not a slim picking. You were a shining star in my heart.
Oh, you were like, I got to snag this one up.
Clip that. Shining star in my heart.
Douche.
Douche.
It did mean a lot, though. I do. I like it when you're romantic.
Doesn't happen often.
What was the most surprising thing once you got to know me, where you're like, I did not expect that from her?
I don't know that you want me saying that publicly.
Now I'm intrigued at the answer.
Well,
mouth it. So anyone that is only watching this, who watches podcasts?
Who watches? Oh. Well, there were some things that you were naive to.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think sometimes that you're like, oh my gosh, she's so naive.
I'm just like, is this really the person that I know who's really got her shit together professionally and um, like does it right, knows how to treat people, but she has her head under a rock for that. This particular whatever the subject may have been. So yeah, there was some naivety in you, but also I found it kind of cute and endearing. So see, I found a positive in some of the quirkiness, I guess.
Yeah, because I am goofy and quirky.
Yeah,
And so are you.
yeah, indefinitely.
One of the things I do want to point out, and I think this is important because you do offer a lot of good wisdom in the dating space, is you are looking, I'm a couple years older than you. And you were not like a lot of men sometimes are looking for someone younger, but you were like, no. So what was your philosophy in that?
Well, I don't know that that's a general philosophy. I think it's a preference. I wanted someone who was either my age or older because they just in the way my brain thinks was I'm like, okay, I want someone who I know is they're gonna have a job, they're gonna be self sufficient, they are a professional in whatever they do. What I mean, whether they were doing what you're doing or they have uh, they're working wherever they're working, they're established enough, they can pay their own bills, they've made it this far on their own, um, and they probably because they're older, they're probably a bit more mature, and they know what they want. So there's going to be less games played.
Yes. You didn't mention my feet though.
No, I didn't because nobody's in defeat. Newsflash: when the world watches this, they will agree with me.
Comment in the wherever you found this in the social post feet, and we'll know you made it this far into the podcast. Okay. I don't know. I feel like people know. We got married, what, a year and a half later in our backyard in the middle of
We
COVID.
did, yeah, in the middle of COVID, in the backyard of our first home together.
Yep.
We moved into it like the beginning of June, and then we got married the end of June. In our
Yeah.
backyard, neighbors who we hadn't even really met yet happened to be sitting out in their driveways on their lawn chairs, and then obviously they couldn't hear it. But when when it was finalized and we kissed and did whatever, I remember hearing out of my corner of my ear one of the neighbors yell, they're married." I'm like, but yeah, we got married in our backyard.
Yeah, and there were maybe 20, 25 people. We did the wedding for
I think there was 20 some, because remember that's when you were only allowed to have so many people there and it had to be outside.
Because our original wedding was actually going to be July 16th in Siesta Key,
I
Florida.
thought it was the 15th.
It was the 15th. I don't know. See, but it doesn't matter because
it's going to be in Siesta Key.
Yeah, and we had to cancel it.
Come
to
the beach. Come to the beach.
And so we went from dating to moving in together about 6 months in, to engaged 5-ish months after that, to married 6 months after that.
Solid plan.
Yeah, I remember calling my parents and being like, I'm getting married again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but also I was still in my 30s.
You were 39.
30.
And I was 42.
But we were older and established, right? It's not like we were 22 or 23 or 20. So yeah, it's worked out so far.
Yeah. So we I will say this, one of the things I'm most proud of that we have accomplished is blending our family, because blending a family is not easy, and you and I have very different parenting styles, but we make it work. And we have 3 amazing young adult children, and amazing in good and sometimes challenging ways, but we definitely are a team when it comes to blending a family. So I'm really proud of that. And you are You are the sexiest man I know. So I'm going to tell you that.
You're the most
And,
beautiful woman I know.
aw. And I do want to know, is that your face on your hat?
It is. I'm
Why
a
do you
humble man.
You are. So you have your own picture on your hat, and is it on your shirt as well? That's my baby. So why don't you tell everyone what you've been working on?
Oh, I am working on just a fun podcast, in my opinion, that's completely different than yours. Obviously, this format that we just did here was about Tinder, but for people who listen to your podcast, know that you do a lot of inspirational, empowering uh, types of things in your podcast. You're trying to help others achieve goals. My podcast is pretty much the exact opposite of that. It is, well, it's the antithesis of yours. It's just a fun podcast. It's called the Surrounded by Brilliance podcast, but we should be going live here shortly. But really what it's about is just having fun, kind of saying the ridiculous things that we all probably think at one point or another in our life. Like you'll see something happen and you have a thought, but then you filter yourself. And those moments happen pretty regularly for me and probably most people, but saying things that people think unapologetically and just having fun with it and kind of giving people a break from, because I love your podcast. There's other podcasts that I listen to as well, but I myself even at times need a break from those podcasts that I listen to for educational or motivational or just to learn. If you're hoping to learn things on my podcast, you'll learn, but it will not be anything of value. It will be humor. It'll be fun. I'm going to have a variety of different guests. You are a guest you will be a guest on my podcast. Several of my friends and family and just other people. So it's fun and it is.
It's brilliant.
Well, yeah. The moral of the story is this: if no one listens to it, I'm okay with that, because what I've found is these interactions I'm having with people on it, I'm having so much fun. Mm-hmm. And you yourself even said it. You're like, boy, you can tell that you're enjoying this because you're having these ideas and you're talking about it, and just like I get excited about it. So I'm having fun with it. So if people choose to listen to it, that's awesome. If not, I'm having some great interactions with people that I know and enjoy being around, and it's a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, I've been privy to listening to some of them, and I find it hilarious because it is like, it's light, but it's funny because this podcast was born out of your baseline level of grumpiness at times.
Yes.
Which is another one of the things I find endearing about you most days. But I'm like, dear God, Josh, you are a 44-year-old man trapped in an 80-year-old mind. Yeah. And but I love that you have this willingness to poke fun at yourself. And there's actually a segment in there where you talk about like, okay, let's talk about a get off my lawn moment. Yeah. Then let's turn it around and try and reframe this. I'm using some more high level language than probably it's used on the podcast. But anyway. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's about having fun. And we do curse a lot. There's negativity. People might think it's negative, but again, we say things about people that people think, but they don't have the courage to say. But we do find positivity and inspiration. I've had some guests already that when they come out, they'll share some stories that could be inspirational. So, and if not, the whole premise of the podcast is we don't give a shit anyways if you don't like it. So,
right.
When in Rome, as they say.
So the last couples tip, because we're not in the business of giving people dating or marital advice.
Oh, God,
because between the two of us, we're at 5 marriages between the two of us.
This is only my second, though. I just want to.
Yeah. 3rd time's a charm for me, baby. This is it. But one of the things that we do, and we're going to leave our listeners or my listeners to at this, is when we do date nights, which we don't prescribe them. We just kind of fit them in where it makes sense for us. We really are home a lot because this one, me, likes to be home. And I love our home, and I love being in our home with you, and Jack and the cats, and just the peace and quiet.
Mhm.
But when we do date nights, what's the thing that we do?
Look, the thing that we do is every date night that we have, we always have to tell each other 5 reasons why we love each other. And I'm going to rock your world here, honey. Uh, I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago. I know that at times when you say, all right, what time is it when we're on a date night? I know it's time to do the 5 things. And I know my initial reaction is always like, oh, we got to do this.
It's true.
I do. I'm always like, oh, we got to do this. And I know it's coming. I know you're like, all right, well, what do we got
I
to do?
just so look forward to it.
But what I will tell you is, and my guess is I'm probably going to make the point that you're trying to make is, even as a self-proclaimed get off my lawn guy, right? My foundational, or what'd you say? I'm grumpy.
Baseline.
My baseline is grumpy. I think that I believe that really is important in our marriage. It's something that even though I don't always want to do it, that's the best time to do it, is to force each other to share those things. And sometimes there's repeat that answers or responses, and sometimes it's specific to things that are going on in our life in that moment. But I will say that ultimately I enjoy those things because I can step back, and I think that has made our marriage stronger. And there are moments that I remember, so it's definitely worth doing and pushing through even when you don't want to do it.
Yeah. Because sometimes you want to negotiate. You're like, just 3. And I'm like, no, 5. And then you go, fine. But some of these will be repeats. I'm like, okay, I dare you.
I'm going to tell you why I love you, but it's going to be a repeat.
And I never take it personally when you're like, you don't want to do it. Because I'm like, whatever. I don't know. I just don't take it personally.
Oh, because I'm like, all I want to do is sit here with my beautiful wife and just eat some sexy bacon sushi. I don't want to have to think and use my brain, but I do.
Yeah.
But it is a very beneficial exercise that I think all it does is strengthen our marriage. So
yes. And I would also say that we have our core values are really aligned, and we have a really solid friendship too. Like, we're in love, and obviously we're sexy and we're attractive to one another. Clearly, everyone, but we really have a strong friendship. Like, we like hanging out together. So
mostly, yes.
Mostly. You don't like to watch true crime with me, although the other night you did sit there and watch it with me.
That was me stepping out of my comfort zone and saying, I'm just going to sit here. Actually, I think it was after I'd done all that yard work and I didn't have the energy to get up. So that's really what it was.
Well, hopefully we are inspiration for individuals who feel stuck, that they're not going to meet the love of their life on a dating app.
And guess what? You don't have to meet them on a dating app, though, either. You can ask your coworker to set you up.
Yeah, but this story was about dating apps, honey.
I know. What I'm trying to prove to the people is we're not dating gurus, because what I was sending was mixed signals there.
Got it. Yeah.
We'll edit that out. That wasn't very good.
No, we'll leave it. That's the best.
I know. Me saying we'll edit that out just made it even funnier. But now come on.
All right, Josh, if people want more of your expert advice, where can they find you?
I don't want people to find me. I don't want people to find me. But if you'd like to give my podcast, Surrounded by Brilliance, a shot, should be going live here probably in the next week or so, depending. Awesome. I don't know when this is going to air, but it should go live. You can find it anywhere where you get podcasts. But listen to it and have an open mind. And if you don't like it, that's okay, because I don't care. If you do like it, that's awesome. So, yeah.
Okay. That's good.
But don't find me beyond that. Don't look for me anywhere else. Don't try and find me. There are places that I am, but do not look for me. Just look for Surrounded by Brilliance.
Got it. Does that have a website?
No.
Okay. And it'll be on Apple or?
Any place you can find a podcast.
Okay. All right. I do want to be found, and I do want you to connect with me. So my audience can find me if you're interested in the hockey side of my life, kwings.com. If you're interested in lifestyle coaching, like you want to quit drinking like I did because Tony Party Time was annoying, mindfulnesselevated.com. If you're looking for professional development coaching, TonyWillCoaching.com. And of course, let's see, what else? I did a TED Talk. That was cool. You were there. I mentioned you, but only as a third husband. Hopefully you weren't offended.
I was not. Yes, I don't want to be found because you are so amazing. I don't think our family could handle people finding both of us. You can take, you be the one.
Isn't it funny how we're both type A and we're both outgoing and it works? Anyways, we could go for days. All right. You know what? I am excited for your podcast. I can't wait to be on it. And I'm really proud of the work you're doing there because you are having a lot of fun. So, and I'm proud that you're my husband because you are.
I'm glad. I wouldn't call my podcast work. You should say you're proud of the fun I'm having.
No, I'm proud of everything that is Josh Will.
Oh, well, I'm very proud of you and your podcast is, which is again, first repeat guest.
You are.
Is great. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that your TED Talk has over 100,000 views. So
I did happen to look at that. Can I correct you?
100 and what is it's got to be over 110 by now. 115.
Like 120.
Is there like a clapping edit in here?
Yeah, I am proud of that. But I'm proud. You and I actually pumped you up on my TED Talk podcast I did.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. All right. All right, y'all. Till next time. Thanks.
Bye.